Okay, so explain to me what you're doing.
All right. So these are a lot of potters don't use bats. They pick up right off the wheel.
What's it called?
A bat. This is called a bat.
Why? Spell that.
B-A-T. And why it's called a bat, I don't know. So.
So if you had a sidekick named Batman, they would be handing you those.
Right. Right. I don't have a sidekick named Batman, but maybe I need to get one. So anyway, a lot of potters will throw right on the wheel head. It's not something I ever learned or wanted to learn. The 1 or 2 times I tried, I warp my pieces when I pick them up. I guess I'm just bad at it. I love these because you throw on them, they move easily, they don't take up tons of space in my limited work area where big round ones do. So for smaller items, these are perfect, and then they pop off the bat. I don't even have to cut them off the wheel off the bat as they dry. They just dry and pop right off. So I get these perfect bottoms on.
And what are you making today?
Mugs. We're making mugs. So I was thinking about your mugs. And I think some of these are going to be your mugs.
Excellent.
And here's the idea. I think the body in teal, because you like teal, the words in purple, or vice versa, because maybe the teal words would stand out more on the purple. And then a thumb stop that's a dragonfly.
Oh, I love it. That would be amazing.
So, and everybody can just wait to find out what the words are going to be. And you need at least 2, one for home and one for your office.
That would be amazing.
So that'll be my birthday gift to you. So we're starting these. At least 2 of them will be yours. The other reason I always like to do when I'm doing something special, at least 2, is because if you do only the exact amount you need, one of them is going to fail. It's going to come out of the kiln wonky, or it's going to crack or something. So I don't do that. And it usually happens that if I make more than one, then they all turned out, and I have another one stuff. So okay, fine. Either way, it works. I never make one of anything.
So I found something interesting in working on your video.
Okay.
In working on your video, if I'm learning to zoom and pan from the video thing, because we talk a lot and laugh a lot, and the music looks better if I cut your head off. Because you can see the mouth moving and it's distracting if we're talking, and I want it to just be music. So I've got it set up where I'm zoomed out enough that I can zoom in on just your hands or not, because I can zoom in the video editing software, which is kind of cool.
That made me think of something. So there's like different clothing sites that the model's head is never in them. So do they not get paid because their head wasn't in it?
I don't know how that works.
Like you might see like a little bit of their hair and them holding their phone like they're supposedly photographing themselves. I don't know, whatever. But you see the clothes, not the model's head. And I'm like, so they don't get paid for this or something, or they get paid less, or what is the scoop on this? Why doesn't none of them have heads? So, did I ever tell you a story about my life drawing teacher at MCC?
No.
Okay, so, a lot of people drop out of life drawing because they think, oh, yeah, we get to draw nude bodies. Well, it's hard work. It's 3 hours of, you're tired.
Yeah, I've taken drawing classes there, and we had one day where we did life drawing with a nude model.
Yeah, and so if you think it's this, oh, wow, nude people, I'm like, you can find a different way to see nude people because life drawing's not the way to do it. So anyway.
I mean, now that we have the internet, does anybody really need to find a way to see nude people?
Yeah, like, really? So, I mean, this is more than 20 years ago, so I don't know how many people were on the internet then, but whatever. So, it was a required course for me, and I took it, and I really, really, really struggle with 2D work. I don't draw well, in my opinion. And so, at the end of the class, you had to pick out of all the drawings from the 16 weeks, a selection of like 25 from the beginning of the class to the end. You had to set up a meeting and meet with the professor and talk about it. And so, what he really wanted was to show you how much you had progressed with all that work over 16 weeks. From when you started to when you ended. All these big pictures all the way around the room, which was cool. Then he said to me, how come none of your bodies have any heads? He said all of the models had heads. I said, because all of my heads, no matter how hard I try, look like cartoons, so they're all headless. And he still gave me an A because he thought that was funny. But
So you were all set to do stuff for the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow.
yeah, no bodies had heads. If it was from behind, they might have some hair on their head, but nope. Proportionally, I just could never get heads to work with bodies.
Now can you get it to work together in 3D if you do sculpture? Have you ever tried to do sculpture of a body?
Yeah, he actually had a model come in, and we all had to sit around the body and whatever, that sounds funny, the body, the model, whichever portion we were near is what we were sculpting and plasticine. And when we got done, he said, this is like close to perfect. He goes, have you ever studied anatomy? And I said, yeah. He goes, but if you can do this, why can't you draw it? And I said, because you are asking me to convert 3D into 3D. I said, and when we're drawing, you're asking me to convert 3D into 2D, and it does not compute.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Talk about the work. Talk about what you're making right now.
Okay, so we're doing mugs. The ever popular mug. They're always great for gifts and a little bit of bling in your cupboard if you're into that sort of thing. I don't know. If you ask any potter or anybody who's bought handmade pottery, they will tell you what you have your coffee or your tea or your hot chocolate or your even better hot buttered rum out of matters. It matters.
It does. It's the whole experience. It's a sensory thing. It's like chefs plating food and stuff. Everything matters. And if you really, because you have that ritual in the morning, and for me and Josh and I have a disagreement on this. I like coffee beans because I like the whole process of grinding them and the scent and the whole experience of making the coffee. He's like, I don't want additional steps between me and my coffee. And so I can see how if you're a sensory type person that like I am, that getting that really special mug puts a smile on your face.
Yep, it's like that additional bit of comfort in the morning. It fits your hand, and a lot of people do that when they buy from me. If they're buying from me live at a market or something, they'll pick them up, they'll hold them, and I'll encourage them, like, pick it up, put your hand through the mug. How do you like to hold your mug? I'm one of those, stick my whole hand through and put my hand around the mug. Some people are not.
So is there a difference between left-handed and right-handed mugs?
Only depending on the design. So like if you have a design on one side, and then it depends on, do you want your design to stick? Which way do you want your design to show? Like, do you want it toward you? Or do you want it facing outward for the world to see? So that's the only time if it's a one-sided design.
Gotcha.
Then it's a left-handed or right-handed mug. I don't do those often. So I'm throwing these at, this is Laguna B-Mix 5.
I don't understand what that means.
Right, that's like listening. I know, when I start talking clay geek, it's like listening when you and Matt are talking computer geek stuff. I like, what? But this is Laguna B-Mix. It's a clay body that I buy from Laguna Clay. I really, really like it. It's white, it's smooth, it stays pretty white. It's running real close to porcelain, but still having all the attributes of stoneware, and my glazes always look great on it. So, and that can be a real problem depending on clay bodies. And I have only two clay bodies I have three clay bodies that I use, two from Laguna and one from Standard, and I'm happy with all of them. So it's kind of more or less that it's not broken, don't fix it thing. So I don't really experiment much with other clay bodies. And but it does have a good amount of shrinkage during drying and firing, etc. So people usually think that when I'm throwing mugs, that I'm throwing beer steins, and I'm not. It's just that I have to accommodate for the shrinkage to have a decent sized mug when it's all said and done. So I'll get a bunch of them thrown today, and then depending on how the rest of the day goes, either by tonight they'll get their handles put on, or tomorrow morning I'll cover them up for the night and put them on in the morning. So that's what I'm working on is mugs. Mugs are always a big seller, and I try to make them beautiful. I try to make something that people are like, oh, I love this mug, I love holding it, I love the way it looks, it works in my kitchen, or it just makes me happy, or whatever the case may be. Our biggest sellers are, and I don't divulge what I do with glazes very often because I've had a lot of people copy me, and I don't know, I have two views about that. On one hand, if I inspired somebody, awesome. The one thing when I was going to college is that everybody shared in the art department, all their techniques, and that was really nice because you learn so much, not just from your studies and your phenomenal teachers, but also, you know, from the other students and what they're working on, what they discovered. However, with internet, I've seen copies of my work and no credit for the fact that they learned it from me, or you know, that I had said what glazes they used and what. So I'm careful about it. But the other thing is that, you know, I don't expect to sell to every potential customer in the world. So, you know, they've got their customer base, I have my customer base, and so, okay, fine, whatever. So I do share sometimes. So these are top selling ones. I use two glazes. One is from Laguna, one is from Coyote. I used to only use Coyote glazes, and then I got introduced to, and I love Coyote glazes, love them. And I love Laguna glazes, and I love Amico and Spectrum and all of them. But it's just this huge offering of all the, it's like having the biggest paint box in the world and learning if I do this, if I do that, if I mix this, you're going to get this. And it's just so much fun every time you open the kiln to go, what I get. So, but the top selling ones I use two glazes.
So you don't know what you're going to get out of the kiln? What do you mean that you're opening the kiln?
Whenever I'm experimenting with glazes.
Gotcha.
So sometimes I'm like, I mean, because this has to be fun. It always has to be fun. Why have a job that you created that isn't fun? I mean, sure, there's going to be aspects you don't want to do, like paperwork.
Yes, billing, taxes, those sort of things aren't fun. But the clay should be fun.
I mean, just, you know, it's an artistic, creative venture. It should be fun. So I'm perfectly prepared for uh-ohs, and we do get uh-ohs sometimes that are just technical uh-ohs.
Do you ever get uh-ohs that it's not what you planned, but a happy mistake?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And those are always good. Actually, our top selling, it wasn't a happy mistake. It was my friend Kate was in the studio with me, and she said, what would happen if I used this and this? And I said, I have no idea. I haven't done that. And so consequently, that particular mug line is called Kate.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I said, okay, just one word of warning. One of the glazes that you want to use is a big runner. So keep it toward the top third.
So that means that big runner means it's drippy?
It runs in the kiln. It gets heated up and it likes to run down your piece. So I said,
that could have an interesting effect.
Yeah, and it does on the pieces that we put it on, but we have to stay toward the top so that it doesn't run down and get stuck to all potters have had that happen, stuck to the kiln shelves. And it gets broken, you have to scrape the kiln shelves, and it's always so much fun. Not. So, and it turned out, neither one of us was expecting whatsoever how it turned out. And we were thrilled, and it's now one of our top sellers, and we have another version called Kate Frost, which has the original glaze, and then the top glaze is from, oh dear, I'm going to get it wrong, it's either Spectrum or Mako. I usually memorize all my glazes. But anyway, and that's Kate Frost, that's also a big seller for us. So all credit to my friend Kate and her discovery, and that's how we get things. We just experiment a lot. And no, they don't always turn out. Sometimes you just open the kiln and go.
It's like experimenting with cooking.
Yeah, we're not going to do that again. And sometimes we open the kiln and do a happy dance around the studio. It's great fun.